Art of Relationship Show is copywritten. No one is to use any portion of the show without express written consent from myself, Greg Dazinski, or the Art of Relationships. Thank you.
Welcome to the Art of Relationship Show. Greg welcomes live calls from listeners in helping with numerous marital and relationship problems. There will be no more tit-for-tat arguments. Greg gets to the root of couples' challenges in a rapid, matter-of-fact format, plus applies compassion and humor. Join in discovering how to improve your relationship and your own life. Listen, laugh, and climax. Greg is a licensed professional counselor in the state of Michigan. To others, he's simply known as Detroit's Love Guru.
All professional. Welcome, everybody. I'm coughing, hacking all over the place. Hopefully everybody's doing well. It is Thursday, I think. My days are running together. Hopefully everybody's doing okay. And I want to talk about problems, of course, right? Everybody talks about problems and is problem focused in a lot of things. Problem focused at work. Focus if there's behavioral issues with your kid. Your kid ain't doing the homework. Anything like that, right? Maybe I was one of those kids years ago, too. Excuse me. And looking at, people come to me, couples, individuals, they come to me, right, because they have a problem, right? I want to know what problem I can help you with. So it's sort of ironic that, when people have problems in their relationships, maybe in their own individual lives, going through grief, going through loss and trauma, the focus may be too heavy on the problem. You get me? I don't feel this. I don't feel that. And I'm going to talk about, is your relationship or your life in general, is there a focus on the problem so much that you can't see where you want to go instead? You don't understand maybe where you want to be because you're so focused and so... your attention, okay? Let's say that your attention span is solely focused on the problem instead of looking at where you want to be and where do you want to go. So we get stuck in the relationship struggles, okay? A lot of couples come in, Greg, I'm stuck. We're stuck. We've been stuck for years. And I look at and I, ask them, what are your expectations for a happy, healthy relationship? They're not mine. I want to know what they are for you. And they start looking at me like I'm speaking a foreign language and they look confused because they never look at that. And I think, if you look at everything, the news, media, everything else is focused on problems, right? It's focused on bad stuff. And if we keep focusing on that, what's going to happen? You're not going to move anywhere. You're going to get stuck. So one thing I do a lot differently than a lot of other people is looking at, where do you want to go? How do you want to feel? What's it take for you to feel loved, to feel desired, to feel respected, a priority, important, excuse me, that type of thing, okay? And what can we do to go after it? Now, a little word of advice, okay? When somebody endures trauma, rape, sexual abuse, that type of thing, most of the couples I see, there's an affair there, right? And I'm not sitting and focusing on, okay, you know what, forget about the affair happened. We're going to focus on now. A lot of people will ignore the problem. I'm not talking about ignoring it. I'm talking about shifting from the focal point of being the problem, going from that to where to resolve it and to be able to go after and heal and look at where do you want to go after the trauma affected. Does that make sense? I don't want to ignore the problem. If you ignore the problem, there's a lot of programs out there, a lot of people that aren't trained. They have a bunch of programs out there, sort of broadcasting, marketing promises and all this stuff. But I tell people, if the problem is not resolved, right? If it's not healed, it's going to come back and bite you in the booty, okay? There's going to be resentment from that issue. If an affair comes up and forget about the affair, look at what's going on with that, and the other person is devastated, traumatized, right? There's a difference between not being problem focused versus handling the problem and being able to move on what is needed to heal that so we can move on, okay? What I'm saying about the problem and being problem focused is you don't necessarily stay there. You don't stay stuck. You address it. Number one aspect to address problems is to go after how that person feels, okay? Say somebody cheated on me. I would want them to show genuine remorse and guilt for their actions, big time, okay? Look at, okay, what was going on, what caused that. That doesn't condone or excuse the action, but then, you know what can we do to go from here? How do you handle that problem so it doesn't come back and it's not a problem anymore? You get me? There's a difference between that versus being stuck on the problem. Couples coming in here all the time, they'll argue. They'll argue in front of me. That isn't right. Oh my God, see, Greg, look at, he's talking to me disrespectful. That's emotional abuse. I'm like, emotional abuse? No, he's just raising his voice a little bit. That's not, you know, the big thing. Oh, you're emotionally abusing me. There's a difference between actual clinical emotional abuse and then somebody raising their voice and not calling names, not being disrespectful, okay? So going back, the problem is we argue all the time. We don't see each other's point of view. I got that. So, problem identified, right? Now, what would it take for you to be able to heal that? And I want to know, okay, what's that do? That pisses you off? It hurts your feelings, right? So we're going to go at the root. You feel ignored, not important if someone isn't willing to listen to you. That's the solution, right? You want to feel heard. So, you know what? I don't want you to feel disrespected. I don't want you to feel unimportant. I want to hear what you have to say, and I'm going to work on doing this from here on out. You know what? I'm sorry. I don't want you to feel that way, right? It's a problem solved. It can be quick, and it can be effective. And the focus now can go on healing and going after what you want. How do you want to be versus stuck in, you know, I call it the dog chasing the tail type of scenario where people get so stuck on it, they have a hard time looking at, number one, what each other feels, because maybe they feel like they're not cared about. That's the problem, right? Now, the focus needs to shift from actually the problem to how do you want to feel, right? There has to be genuine remorse and, you know, say you're sorry, genuine remorse and guilt for the actions that, you know, you completed, that you did, okay? That you know, your behavior was disrespectful, you cheated, lied, whatever it is, okay? You have to atone and take responsibility for the actions you did to cause pain to your partner, okay? Hey, Tony, hey, welcome, brother. Oh, no, you're fine, man. Not at all. I haven't been doing the show that much at all. I've been sick last week and stuff, too, so I've been hitting and missing with the show myself, so I appreciate you tuning in. But going back to the problem aspect, okay, you identify the problem, what it is, there has to be genuine remorse and guilt for those issues. Once that is shown, it's a lot easier to, you know what, to move from the problem, to move from the hurt and the pain, to go after what you really want in the relationship, or let's face it, in your life, okay? So you look at the avenue to where when people go round and round and round and they're stuck, look at, number one, is there genuine remorse and guilt exhibited, expressed, okay? Did the one person, you know what, did the one person, you know, just blow it off? Did the one person that created the, you know, event, the betrayal, if you will, are they genuinely remorseful and guilty and sorry for what they did? That needs to be number one. Once that's done, then the focus can go from the actual hurt and the pain and the problem to focus on, you know what can we do about it, and what can we do to go where we want to be more connected, to be, you know, build trust again, to, right, maybe bring back the passion, the intimacy. You got me? The connection. Now we can focus from the problem and move on. A lot of people, and I hear this all the time, Greg, we've went to other, you know, therapists before, marriage counselors, all this time. We've been to 1, 2, 3. I could, you know, go on with this, and I'm flattered. All we do, every time we leave, we argue. Every time we leave their office, it creates more problems, more aspects. And I know, I get it, because so much the focus is on the problem, and almost like the therapist is condoning a tit for tat. They're almost, you know, causing more problems in the relationship versus getting help, because the genuine remorse is not the solution, number one, and then looking at, okay, what can we do about it and how do you want to feel to be able to move from the problem? If those are not evident, yeah, no kidding, the problem's going to keep surfacing. It's going to keep, running around and coming back and biting you in the booty. I don't want that. So I want you to be able to, identify the problem. Go after the feelings first, okay? Go after what that person is feeling. Hurt, sad, pissed off, angry, disrespected, whatever it is. You know what? Show genuine remorse and, sorry for your actions, okay? But what happens if your partner, I run into this a lot, what if your partner is not willing to own what they do in a relationship? Big problem, right? Now, look at, okay, what is causing them not to own it? Is it insecurities? Is it, they're too shy, they don't feel good about themselves, so they can't take another hit of what is going on? You know what? Number one, do they actually care how it affected you? Got it? That's number one. So to be able to help people if they don't own their stuff, if they always throw up excuses, right, on a problem. You know what? I shouldn't have, I said that because you made me. I said that because you made me angry. They're always taking the problem, right, and they're rolling the problem and putting it back on you instead of, oh, you know what, you're right, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. It doesn't matter what you did. It doesn't matter what so-and-so did. We're responsible for our own actions. So if somebody doesn't own what they did, it's very, very difficult to get through and get, through the problem and get it healed, to get on to better things, to get on to where you want to go, to get, more evident of the expectations that you want, of what it takes to be loved, desired, appreciated, those things I mentioned. So, you know what? Go after the feeling. You know what? I felt disrespected by you. You know what? I felt hurt. It hurts me that, this happened. And try to go after their humility and try to go after to see if they care or whatever. Some people are not going to, okay? Some people will just not own their stuff no matter what. I worked my butt off in trying to get at that aspect, okay? But with the problem aspects and going after people that do not own the problems, how are you supposed to heal from that, right? They don't own it, right? They're not sorry because they didn't do anything, or they're blaming somebody else for their actions, right? It makes it very difficult. So how are you supposed to, forget about the problem if it keeps happening over and over and over again? Got me? So that makes it a lot more difficult. And I'm going to ask, do you want to be in a relationship, with a team player that is going to own their stuff? Or are you going to be okay with them never taking responsibility for the hurt and pain they cause you or cause in a relationship? Again, it's not my choice. It's your choice, okay? So you can focus on the problem. I'm all about that. But I don't want a long-term focus on it because it's going to keep you stuck. Again, very, very important. Both of you need to express the hurt that was caused or levels of disrespect. Not yelling, not screaming, okay? I felt hurt. I felt disrespected. That's going to come across as very, I'm hurt, and hopefully your partner is going to have the empathetic and the caring side to say, you know what, I don't want to hurt you, instead of, well, you made me do this. You did this. I get you were hurt, but I want you to understand, and I want to know you're hurt too. Makes it a lot easier, right, to be able to solve the problem instead of the problem being the focus day in and day out, and it never gets healed. It's like the old hamster wheel, right? Going around and around, nothing ever changes. I want them to change, and I want them to change quick so you can get through the problems and get on to the solution and get on to a happier, healthier marriage or relationship, okay? It sounds simple. No, it's not. So number one, you need to address the root of the problem, meaning the cause of the problem. What did it do to that partner, okay? And what do you want to happen instead? Simple, right? Sounds simple. I'm shaking my head no, because it's not always simple. You need, again, to understand what the problem is, right? Number two, to understand the effect it had on your partner or the effect it had on you. Not yelling, not screaming, but speak from the heart, okay? And then that's going to help heal the issue when there's genuine remorse and guilt shown. That's step number 3. It has to be. Now, what can be done instead? Simple, right? It should be simple. Now, if your partner doesn't care what you feel or their role into it, we're talking about a lot deeper issues. And is that a personality thing? And is that something that you can deal with? Or is that something you should deal with? Again, that's not me to answer. So, you know what? Instead of being solely focused on all the problems, okay? Focus on the feelings that erupted from that problem or the event that occurred. Now, what can we do to work together so we don't feel that anymore, that we love each other, we want to feel desired by each other, so we can move beyond the problems and we don't get stuck in there, okay? Sounds simple, but go after it. I know I'm all over the place, still fighting a cough and stuff, so I apologize if I'm all over the place and confusing with the video today, okay? This is the Art of Relationship show. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Everybody take care, peace and love, and you can catch the show Monday through Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Everybody take care.